So what is the current state of the diabetes market?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of innovation going on at the moment. We're seeing new ways to really deal with the market and kind of deal with the cost of diabetes. I think the NHS spends about £25,000 per minute on diabetes market, and it actually between type 1 and type 2 contributes to 10% of the NHS annual spend, which is a lot of money when you all things considered, or maybe things that can be seen as more critical than spending that much money. There's obviously a lot of new innovations coming out, especially within type 1, things like cell immunotherapy, which aren't quite at the curing stage yet, but things like delaying it. If you can push back someone from having diabetes at 14 rather than 12 and educating them a lot on what's going to happen before that, or 6 or an 18 rather than 16, that's really going to help someone be able to not have any issues, not end up in hospital, not use up a hospital bed, which is just going to cost the NHS more and more money. I think there's a lot of things like an artificial pancreas that are being developed, and a smart insulin, really interesting one, currently in its research phase, but I think it's going to be something that's going to be really, really positive. The way that works is you'd almost inject once a day, and what that would actually go and do is it would be glucose responsive, and that would be really interesting. So I think that's kind of some of the biggest stuff within the understanding and the development of diabetes at the moment.
As a diabetic yourself, how excited do progresses like that make you?
Yeah, I think definitely something where you wouldn't have to be forced to inject all the time. As much as I think you can deal with it a lot, and by being very disciplined, you can definitely deal with it. The thought of only having to inject once a day and to kind of affect my life even more kind of little would be fantastic, and just allows you to kind of get on with life and not deal with an issue that maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago was a major issue. We're definitely getting there, we're getting a lot better, people are finding ways to carry on their life, but at the same time, any more we can do, any more we can develop, any more we can make it easier for people, the better.
You mentioned a really good point there, discipline, and you are incredibly disciplined and you manage your diabetes very, very well. It's impressive. What tips have you got for people out there that are currently struggling managing it?
Yeah, 100%. What I would say is a major thing is exercise. I think being able to exercise and keep generally healthy and eating generally healthy is always going to help, because it just makes you healthier food and the right food, not so much processed food, things like that, and it's a small change that can make a big difference to your life. I would really highly advise that can help you a lot, and also just checking yourself a lot, monitoring. I personally have the Roche monitor. I test myself maybe 5 or 6 times a day, and by doing that I make sure that I'm never going to go too low, because I'm always aware of what my level is. You also of course learn your body, but I think once you start testing a lot, it really assists you in knowing what your levels are. Also, obviously, there's things like Medtronic have a very good product, kind of a patch type product, which allows continuous glucose monitoring for different people. That can also be very good. But I think the way to deal with diabetes is all surrounded by being disciplined, being focused, and being as healthy as possible, and keeping on that healthy way of life.
That's a really interesting insight, Isaac, and I do actually remember when you were first diagnosed with diabetes. It's a massive shock to everyone, yourself, I'm sure, more than anyone.
Yeah.
But one thing you said, which has really stuck to me to this day, is you weren't going to let that. You made a massive conscious decision that you weren't going to let diabetes define who you were. How have you kept to that so far?
Yeah, I think it's very much a part of my life, of course, because I have it. I have to deal with it. I have to combat that. But I also made sure that it wasn't going to be the defining moment of me. I wasn't going to let that affect me too much. I was going to make sure that I could do the things I wanted to do. I could go to the gym, I could play football, I could go on holiday with my friends, and again, it all comes back to being disciplined by making sure that I'm not having issues with my diabetes. That allows me to then not have to think about it the whole time, by making sure I'm quite regimented in what I do and focus and make sure that I don't let it affect me, because if I ignored it, I would then have a lot more health problems, and that would then make it a bigger part of my life. So I just being disciplined, I'd say.